New families, we are so excited to come back and meet with you again for our December newsletter to share with you some of the things that we've been sharing in the parenting class over the last month. Dana and I had the opportunity to talk with the parents about a few different ideas the last month of our parenting class. So we wanted to share those, a summary of those, so that you could hear what was going on.
Yeah, each of our 6 weeks, we've been sharing about this idea of being a Christ-centered home, not a child-centered home. The first 3 weeks we reviewed with you already. If you've not watched that video, go back and watch that video of the first 3 weeks that are kind of our highlights of what we talked about. We're going to review the final 3 weeks together with you right now, starting off with week number 4. We talked about the 4 different styles of parenting according to some research, but also looking through God's Word. We talked about this idea of being neglectful, permissive, authoritarian, and authoritative parent. We see that there's different styles of parenting, and we kind of experience those in both in youth ministry and in teaching. We see different styles of parenting. We talked a lot about this idea of being a neglectful parent. And immediately we said, no, we're not neglectful parents. But what we did is we discussed what does it look like for us to be a neglectful spiritual parent. Just like we're not feeding our children physically, oftentimes we as Christian parents become neglectful, become busy, and we don't feed our kids spiritually. We began to talk a little bit more about that, and we talked about the next thing, which is permissive parenting. This idea of letting our kids rule the house. That Christ-centered, moving from Christ-centered to child-centered parenting. We have these families who are neglectful, but also permissive. They're allowing their children to get away with all kinds of different things because they don't want to be the authority. They don't want to be the bad guy, so they become the friend and not the parent. Then we begin to talk about what does it look like for us to swing the opposite direction, to become a little too much, and that authoritarian parent. Oftentimes in the Christian life, we kind of see these kind of parents as good parents. These are the parents of all the rules. But what we have to also see, those parents have kids that often rebel because they're not given freedom to grow and to nurture and to live out their spiritual lives on their own as well later in life. So what we did is we came to the final idea that we need to be authoritative parents. Parents that work together to love our kids, to talk to our kids about the rules, and help them understand godly, loving permission and ways to live life with God's authority, but also us as the authority in our lives. That led us to our next week as we talked about the 5 different stages and seasons of parenting.
During that week, we were able to share that there are 4 different seasons that we go through as parents with our kids. The first one is the training season. We kind of compare this to a sports analogy. The season of whenever our kids are babies and toddlers, we're training them. We're teaching them how to talk. We're teaching them how to walk, but also we're teaching them spiritual things. We're teaching them how to pray, how to come to church for the first time. And we're laying those foundations during that training period. The next season that we talked about is coaching. This is really the season whenever we start in kindergarten, first grade, letting our kids go out into the world, and we're standing on the sidelines with them and we are coaching them. We're coming home, we're having dinner with them, we're talking through their day, we're talking about the things that are good, the ways that they can respond in a godly way to things that have happened in their day, to people that they have encountered during the day, situations that they've gone through. So we walk through and we walk beside them on the sidelines as they're out in the world, and we're coaching them from a godly standpoint and giving them biblical wisdom. The next season is cheerleading, and we kind of shared that we are in that cheerleading phase right now with our son Caleb, and how we cheer him on as he is older and he's making decisions for himself. But we're still kind of coaching him a little bit, but we're standing there and cheering him on whenever he's making wise, godly decisions, because that's what he's been trained to do. So we're cheering him on from the sidelines going, all right, this was awesome the way that you handled this, but there was a better way that you could have handled it, or you did awesome in this, and keep going. The last phase is we're also going through this phase right now too that we shared is the fan phase, where your child has moved on. They're moving on from living in your home, or a college student or something like that. You've trained them, you've coached them, you've cheered them on, and now they're out in the world and they're making decisions for themselves. And we have seen that just this year, as we're going through this phase with Jenna right now, where we're a fan of hers as she makes wise decisions, as she's off at college and she's calling home and asking for advice, but we're telling her, okay, this is godly advice in this way, but you get to make that choice. And she has already had the foundations laid in a godly way for her.
Our whole entire time together has been around this verse in Psalms 127. This idea that children are a heritage of the Lord, but they are also part of a quiver full of arrows. That we have this opportunity to launch our children out into the world. While we are Christ-centered in our homes, we're looking to develop our children, not center our lives around them, but putting them together in a way that they go out and become a heritage, a legacy, an inheritance of our family to the world, not just to ourselves. But then also the analogy there is of the arrow being launched out into the world. And I'm having these conversations, these follow-up conversations after our time. See, I've talked to many of the dads. And even recently, we were talking about this idea over coffee, about heritage and also legacy. You know, we have this opportunity to have responsibility as parents, but also we get to have the opportunity to see the reward. Our final session was all about responsibility and reward. We have this responsibility to raise up our own children, to disciple them, to prepare them, to get them ready to be a legacy for our family, but as a legacy to the Lord. But then we have this reward of seeing them become a blessing, not only to us, but to the world, because we have raised them to be focused on Christ. Each one of our sessions has been so exciting. We've loved interacting with all the families and all the parents that have come out to each one of our sessions. If you have not seen or want to see more of these sessions, we have all of the notes available online at our church website. And we're looking forward in January to a new session where we begin to talk about a Christ-centered marriage, not a spouse-centered or self-centered marriage. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please check out the rest of our weekly and monthly emails so you can see all the different things that we have going on coming up. And as always, we are here for you as parents, to you as parents. We want to be there for you, to pray with you, talk with you, cry with you. We are here for you as your family pastor here at our church. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Blessings over your family and the rest of this year.